And I have the feeling that sometimes the best man is already drunk by the time that they reach the church and just touch the floor with one hand and crazy positions like that. So that is really funny to see. Bottle after bottle after bottle of vodka on the table. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be telling you about the Polish weddings, some of my experiences in the Polish weddings and how different they are to the Guatemalan weddings. So say no more, let's go. I'm gonna start saying that the Polish weddings take place during spring and summer. I mean, there is a season for the weddings. In Guatemala, you can celebrate weddings all year long because the weather allows it. Instead, in Poland, I mean, there are weddings during winter, but it's not very common. Right now, we're starting spring actually, so the wedding season, I think that has already begun. Also, it is customary for the parents of both the groom and the bride to pay for the wedding. Now, I've seen this in a Netflix show. I don't know if it's true or not. Let me know if you're from Poland, if it is true or not. But because the parents paid for the wedding, they want to invite a lot of people that in some cases the groom and the bride wouldn't invite in first place. I don't know if this is true or not, but that's what happened in the show. What I can tell you is that to the weddings that I've been to, I've seen around 150 or 200 people perhaps. It is also customary for the weddings to take place in the birthplace of the bride, whether it's a big city, a town, or a small village. Imagine that the bride goes to study to a big city. She meets there people from all over the country, and then when she's going to get married, invite her friends to a specific place in Poland. So people travel around the country when it comes about weddings, and the celebration starts early in the morning because people gather at the bride's home. There is music. I remember once I saw a music band. They are talking outside. They are helping the bride prepare. And if the groom's house is also nearby, people also gather in this place. The houses are of course decorated, so sometimes you're driving through a place and you can see, oh, today they are celebrating a wedding because it's decorated on the outside. Around midday, all the people who are at the groom's house go to the bride's house because they are going to meet there and go together to the church. There is a very interesting tradition that I saw once, and it was that before allowing the groom to see the bride, the parents of the bride ask the groom a lot of vodka, and this is just a tradition. So there is a weight. In one side of the weight there is a key, and on the other side the groom has to put a lot of vodka until, of course, the weight is fixed. So the moment that the weight is balanced, they give the groom the key and he can go for the bride. And after they meet, there are pictures and everyone is happy, the music is playing, and then they go together to the wedding and all the guests behind them. In Guatemala, for example, the bride and the groom don't meet before the wedding, and in Poland they do. So that's a very important difference because in Guatemala, until they are in the church, they meet there, the groom is waiting on the altar and the bride goes and they meet together in the altar. When it's time to go to the church, there is a very interesting tradition as well, and I've seen it that when everyone's going to the church, some people can spot that people are going to a wedding, so then they stop them and they block the way. So the best man has to go down, drink vodka, drink a shot of vodka, or I don't know if more, with the people who are blocking the way. They drink it and then they allow them to continue the way to the church. And this is something that can happen 3, 4, 5 times, I don't know, many times. And I have the feeling that sometimes the best man is already drunk by the time that they reach the church. Something that I also forgot to mention is that in Poland they call it differently. There is ślub and wesele. Ślub is going to be the ceremony, the wedding ceremony, and then the wedding reception is going to be wesele. In Guatemala, it's just called the same way, so there is a bit of a difference there. When we get to the church, I think everything is the same as in Guatemala. You know, the groom is waiting on the altar, the bride, I mean, they met before, but she goes and meets the groom again in the altar, and the wedding happens. After that, they go directly to the wedding reception, and weddings take place around 2-3 p.m. in Poland, and in Guatemala at 6 p.m. So it's a bit later in Guatemala. At 6 p.m. people are already celebrating in Poland because after the church they go directly to the wedding reception. So I would say that around 5 p.m. people are already gathered outside, and the bride and the groom drink a shot of vodka. They break the glass, and before entering, the parents of both the groom and the bride give them bread and salt. I'm not exactly sure how that is. If you know that, please let me know in the comments. But they give them that and then they can go inside. And usually the groom lifts the bride and they go walking like that. Everyone follows them and then you sit on the place where you have been assigned. And now let me tell you about the food. The amount of food that you eat and you see and you find in the Polish weddings is just incredible. I mean, since you arrive, you can already start eating the cake, fruits. You're going to find pickles. There are some traditional Polish dishes such as some kind of fish, some kind of salty jelly with meat. And I mean, there are a lot of things that you can find there. And there is also a table, a specific table in which you're going to find a lot of cured meats and sausages and hams that are very traditional in Poland. And in some cases, there is even a candy bar and many things. And of course, the alcohol. There is a lot of alcohol. You have no idea, because bottle after bottle after bottle of vodka on the table, and they, like, if they see that the bottle is about to finish, they take the other one. And the ones that I've been to, they're like 2 or 3 bottles of vodka, and if one is over, they take the other one. So you're always going to have more than 1 bottle of vodka full in the table. They serve the food around 6 or 7 p.m. They give you a soup, then the main course, then the second soup, and like 2 hours later again another main course, and it's just a lot of food. And when it comes to drinking, what I've seen in the Polish weddings is that people drink it directly. So they pour 50-30 milliliters of vodka on a shot, they drink it, and then you can drink water, you can drink soda or juice. In some cases, people don't drink anything afterwards. So that's the reason why the bottles are going after bottle, because they go really fast. And in Guatemala, this just doesn't happen like that. I mean, the amount of alcohol that you find in Polish weddings is just incredible. After midnight, you're going to eat the cake. There is also a ceremony because the groom and the bride give presents to the parents as a thank you, and then it's the cake ceremony and everything. So everyone's standing up, paying attention to this that's happening there. People also, they go dancing. There are different activities because in some of the weddings that I've been to, there is some kind of anchorman saying what's going to happen next. And something that I haven't seen in Guatemala is the games that they play here in Poland. So one of them is, for example, musical chairs. It's really funny because people are already drunk by that time, so some people are doing crazy things and jumping and flying. It's just really interesting. And there is another one that I remember pretty well, and it's that let's say that the anchorman says that it's 2 people. They say that you have to stand in 2 feet and 1 arm, for example. And then somebody has to be standing and the other person has to be lifted on the air and just touch the floor with 1 hand, and crazy positions like that. So that is really funny to see. There's also another tradition that I've seen, that people dance with the groom and the bride, but in order to dance, you need to pay some money before. And that's another way in which people can give a present to the newly wedded couple. And in Guatemala, this doesn't really happen. Weddings usually finish at 4 or 5 a.m. in Guatemala. I would say after midnight, some people are already going back home. So they are not as long as in Poland, because in Guatemala, the wedding reception starts around 8 p.m. because remember I told you that the wedding at the church is around 6 p.m. I also want to tell you something that I've seen, and this is something that is not exactly a written rule, but I know that when you go to a wedding, it is customary to give the young couple money for the amount of food and drink that you have taken. So it's like basically you're paying for it. They're not gonna tell you, look, this is how much we paid for you, so give. No, but you give a certain amount of money thinking that you're going to cover that. And if everyone does that, I mean, it's like also the guests are somehow covering the costs of the wedding. In Guatemala, you take like a normal gift, a normal present, but it's not exactly that everyone knows that they have to cover their expenses. And I think that's also a reason why, I don't know, let me know if you're from Poland, if you think this is true. That's just my perception, that the weddings are huge and there is just a crazy amount of food and a crazy amount of alcohol, because they know that the guests somehow are gonna give some of that money back. Instead, in Guatemala, I don't think it's possible for people to spend crazy amounts of money on weddings, because then they are not going to get that money back. Oh, and it doesn't finish there, because the next day it is customary for the close friends and the family to gather and still eat a lot and drink, because there's still a lot of food left from the day before. So they gather, they eat, and in some cases, because there's still a lot of food left, they divide it and they give it to everyone who attended to this. So Well, that's my experience in the Polish weddings. To the ones that I've been to, I've had a really great time. I've danced a lot. Disco polo, to the music bands, to DJs, they have been just really nice experiences. And I'm gonna be attending to a wedding this summer, and I'm sure that it's gonna be lots of fun. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know in the comments, how are the weddings in your country? And if you're from Poland, please let me know if some of the information I gave is not very accurate. And if there are other traditions that happen, please also let me know in the comments. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Greetings from someone who has enjoyed Polish weddings a lot and is looking forward to the next one. See you next time.